I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel and like this video. My goal is to reach the first 1,000 subscribers. Thank you and enjoy. Before I tell you what happened, here's the practical reason this story matters. Most men don't lose their marriage in one big explosion. They lose it in small moments where respect slips, and they try to talk it out, while the other person is already running a different game. This one is about early signals, little slips, little tests, and what it looks like to respond like an adult instead of a pleading roommate. Not with screaming, not with spying, with clean boundaries, financial clarity, and moving first. If you've ever felt someone quietly rewriting your place in your own home, pay attention to how fast facts show up when you stop negotiating your dignity. Noelle looked right at me over breakfast and said, "Tom." "Oh, Everett." "Pass the salt." Soft voice, like she surprised herself. I slid the salt shaker across the counter and let a small smile sit on my face. "Tom, huh? New upgrade." She waved a hand like she was brushing crumbs off the air. "It slipped. Don't make it a thing." "Me? Making things? That's your department." She gave me a tight little smile and went back to scrolling her phone, thumb moving like a metronome. The eggs were still hot. The room already felt cold. I watched her for a second longer than normal. Not because I was hunting, because I was noticing. Noelle used to be present. Even if she was annoyed, she was here. Lately, she'd been sitting across from me like I was a co-worker she didn't like, but had to share a project with. I cleaned my plate, rinsed it, put the pan in the sink. Routine. Calm. Adult. As I grabbed my keys, she called out, "Can you handle the utility bill today?" I'm slammed. "Sure," I replied even. "I'll handle it." She didn't say thank you. She didn't have to. We were married. That used to be enough. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have treated that first Tom like a fire alarm, not a weird little hiccup. 2 days later, she did it again. We were in the car. Morning traffic. My coffee in the cup holder, the navigation voice droning out directions. Noelle stared out her window, tapping her nails on her knee like she was counting down to something. "Tom, you." She froze mid-syllable, like she bit her tongue. Then she looked at me, blinked once. "Everett, can you go faster?" I didn't turn my head. I didn't tighten up. I didn't ask a single emotional question. I just took the next exit, pulled into a gas station, and parked. Noelle stared at me like I'd started speaking another language. "What are you doing?" she asked. I took a slow sip of coffee. "Set it down." "I'm resetting the day," I told her. Her eyebrows lifted. "Resetting?" "Yeah. Because I'm not doing this thing where you say another man's name in my face and then treat me like the problem for noticing." She scoffed, quick and dismissive. "Oh my God, you're being dramatic." I glanced over, calm. "No, dramatic would be yelling. I'm being precise." She let out a laugh that wasn't humor. It was a weapon. It was a slip. Twice. She rolled her eyes hard. "Do you want a medal for counting?" I nodded once, like I was taking notes. "Here's what's happening. From today on, I'm not discussing plans with you like we're building a future if you're mentally living in someone else's. We'll handle logistics, we'll handle bills, but the team conversations are on pause." Her mouth opened, then shut. She tried a different angle. "So you're punishing me." "I'm protecting my peace," I corrected. Huge difference. Noelle's voice went syrupy. "Everett, you're doing that thing where you act superior." I started the car again. "And you're doing that thing where you test limits and call it an accident." We drove the rest of the way in silence, but it wasn't quiet. It was loaded. That evening, after she went upstairs to take a call, I didn't follow her. I didn't stand at the bottom of the stairs like a confused dog waiting for attention. I opened my laptop and moved my financial notifications to a separate access channel. Not to hide, to control. There's a difference. If someone wants to play games with information, you stop handing them the deck. Noelle came back down 10 minutes later, face composed like she'd just left a meeting. "What are you doing?" she asked, eyeing the screen. "How stuff," I said. She watched me too long. "You've been weird lately." I didn't look up. "And you've been sloppy." Her lips tightened. "Excuse me." I finally met her eyes. "If you want to pretend that name slips are nothing, fine. But I'm not pretending with you." She stared for a beat, then shrugged like it bored her. "Whatever. I'm going to bed." "Cool," I said, and kept typing. The first loop was open. Who was Tom, and why was his name sitting on her tongue like it belonged there? I didn't chase the loop. I let it hang. Because when you stop chasing, people start exposing. A couple days later, the math started looking strange. Noelle's paycheck hit on Friday like clockwork. We both had direct deposit into the joint account for shared expenses. That was the deal. Not romantic, just functional. A house runs on numbers whether you're in love or not. Friday came. Her deposit hit. Then, a transfer out. Not a big one. Not flashy. Just enough to be deliberate. I waited until dinner. Not because I was scared. Because timing matters when you want the truth without the performance. We ate in the kitchen. She pushed food around, barely touched it. I set my fork down. Question. She didn't look up. If this is about the name thing again, I'm not doing it. It's about money. Her eyes snapped up. That got her attention. What about it? I kept my tone neutral. Your paycheck came in. Less than usual stayed in the shared account. She gave a small smile, polite, like she was on an interview panel. I'm just organizing things. Organizing where? I asked. She leaned back. Everett, don't start. I didn't start, I replied. I'm finishing. Are we running a shared home or a subscription hotel? Her jaw tightened. Wow. So now you're accusing me of something. I'm asking a direct question, I said. You can answer it directly. Noelle exhaled, slow, like she was the patient adult dealing with a difficult child. I'm trying to have more personal space. Money isn't space, I said. It's responsibility. She tilted her head. You've been controlling lately. I almost laughed. Almost. Classic, I said dry. You hide, and I'm controlling for noticing. I'm not hiding, she snapped. I'm taking care of myself. Great, I replied. Then let's make it clean. She blinked. What does that mean? It means from today, shared expenses are split 50-50. Mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance. Half and half. Anything else, we handle separately. Her face changed immediately, like a mask slipping and being replaced with a colder one. So you're threatening me? No, I said. I'm updating terms. Her voice went thin. This is ridiculous. I nodded. And yet you've been doing your own terms quietly for months, apparently. Her eyes narrowed. You don't know what you're talking about. I know the numbers, I replied. Numbers don't get emotional. She stared at me, then looked away like I'd become uninteresting. Fine, she said. Split it. Whatever. No argument. No tears. No denial. Just a quiet acceptance that told me the second loop was open too. She'd been building something separate, and she didn't want me asking how long. The next day, I acted first again. I moved my direct deposit, so only my portion went into the joint account. Exactly enough to cover my half, plus a small buffer for house stability. I set up a separate account for my personal savings. I didn't announce it like a threat. I just did it. That evening, Noelle saw the joint balance and went still. What did you do? She asked. I matched your new system, I said. Her eyes flashed. So you're playing games? No, I replied. I'm ending them. She stood there in the hallway, arms crossed, blocking the path like she could physically stop reality. I don't like this version of you, she said. I walked past her. You don't like any version of me that isn't convenient. She turned, voice sharper. You're going to regret acting like this. I stopped and looked at her, calm as ever. I don't regret clarity. Noelle's mouth curled into a smirk. Oh, look at you. So proud. Pride isn't the issue, I told her. Respect is. She stared, then walked away without another word. That weekend, she switched tactics. She cooked breakfast. Actual breakfast. Pancakes, fruit, coffee set out. Like a little commercial for healthy marriage. I walked in, took one look, and raised an eyebrow. Noelle smiled too brightly. I thought we could have a nice morning. I poured coffee. We can have a quiet morning. She stepped closer. Everett, I've been stressed. Work is crazy. I didn't mean anything by the name thing. There it was. First illusion. Light apology. Soft concern. I took a sip. You didn't mean it twice? She sighed. It just happened. I'm sorry. I watched her face while she said it. No panic. No embarrassment. Just strategy. I nodded once. Okay. Her shoulders loosened, like she'd just pulled a lever and it worked. She reached out, touched my arm. And about the money. I'm trying to feel safer. I gently moved my arm away and grabbed a plate. Then keep your half clean and we'll be fine. Her smile faltered. You're still doing this. I'm still doing reality, I replied. Eat your pancakes. She sat, quiet, then tried again. We should plan a little trip. Just us. No, I said simply. Her eyes widened. No, I'm not investing in vacations while trust is in question, I told her. We'll handle home. That's it. Noelle's face cooled. So you're punishing me again. I shrugged. You can call it whatever helps you sleep. She pushed her plate away. You're impossible. Good, I said. That means I'm not programmable. That scene ended with a new loop. If she was suddenly sweet, what did she need from me that she thought she might lose? Monday gave me a piece of the answer. At work, I was reviewing a project schedule when Mark wandered into my office. Mark is the kind of guy who barely jokes, but when he does, it lands. Mid-40s, sharp eyes, no wasted words. He's also not the type to stir drama for entertainment. He leaned against the doorframe and glanced at my desk. You look like a man who's reading the fine print on his own life. I didn't look up from my screen. New hobby. Mark nodded. Quick thing. Last week, I was at the shopping center across town. I kept my face neutral. Okay. I saw Noelle, he continued. She was with a guy? I didn't come over. Figured you'd rather not have that kind of greeting in public. I finally looked at him. What kind of guy? Mark lifted one shoulder. Tall. Too polished for a random friend. They weren't talking like co-workers. I nodded slowly, like he'd told me traffic was bad. Appreciate it. Mark's eye stayed on me. You want advice? I leaned back in my chair. You don't give advice. You give warnings. He smirked. Fair. Warning. Don't ask questions you already answered with facts. I nodded once. Already on it. As he walked away, he added. Also, don't let anyone make you feel guilty for having boundaries. People hate fences when they're used to walking through your yard. That was Mark. Not sentimental. Just accurate. That night, I didn't accuse Noelle of anything. I didn't ask where she'd been and wait for a story. I asked one question that mattered. We were in the living room. She was scrolling on her phone, legs tucked under her like she owned the couch and the air around it. I stood near the doorway. How long? She looked up, confused on purpose. How long what? I didn't move. How long have you been splitting your money into an account I didn't know about? Her expression flickered. Just for a second. Then she smiled, slow. So you've been monitoring me. I almost laughed. Almost. No, I replied. I've been monitoring our shared agreements. She sat up. You're paranoid. I'm informed, I corrected. Answer the question. She stared at me like she was deciding which costume to wear. Then she chose offended. I can't believe you're interrogating me in my own home. Our home, I said. And I'm not interrogating. I'm giving you a chance to be honest before I finalize my next steps. That got her attention. Her voice shifted, lower. What steps? I smiled, small and tired. The kind you don't get a vote on. Noelle's eyes hardened. You're acting like some kind of dictator. No, I said. Dictators demand control. I'm removing access. She stood, suddenly animated. This is because you're insecure. I nodded once. Sure. And you saying Tom twice is because I'm insecure too, right? Her face tightened. Stop bringing that up. I will, I replied. When it stops mattering. Right now it matters. She took a step closer, voice sharp. You're not going to ruin my life because you're in your feelings. I tilted my head. Interesting phrase. Ruin your life. I didn't say anything about your life. Noelle blinked. Her mouth opened. Closed. There it was. The third loop. She was already imagining consequences, which meant she knew exactly what she'd been doing. That night, after she went upstairs, I didn't sit in the dark like a tragic character. I opened my laptop and pulled statements. Not just ours. Everything tied to the house and shared expenses. I found the transfers. Months, like I suspected. Not one time. A system. And something else. The separate account wasn't just a savings bucket. There were repeated transfers to another name, an entity, not a person. Small amounts. Regular. Like a subscription. Like support. I didn't need to label it. I didn't need a dramatic word. I needed context. So I called a friend. Vince owns a small print shop and does side work for community newsletters and local writers. He's loud, social, always got an opinion, but he's not reckless. He knows where people bury things in plain sight. We met at his shop after hours. That was my other territory move, bringing my reality somewhere solid, away from Noelle's atmosphere. Vince looked at my phone screen and whistled. Man, she's running a second track. Looks like it, I said. He leaned on the counter. You want me to dig? No, I replied. I want a name connected to this entity. Vince squinted at the transfers. This looks like one of those consulting shells people use to move money without questions. I stared at him. How do you know that? He shrugged. Because I print flyers for people who think they're slick. They always have a consultant helping them restructure their life. I nodded slowly. I don't care about the romance angle, I said. I care about the plan. Vince laughed once. Listen to you. Ice cold. I'm not cold, I said. I'm done being warm for someone who wants to live like I'm optional. Vince's face got serious. So what's your move? My move is exposure without theater, I replied. Facts in the right hands. Vince tilted his head. You're thinking press. Not tabloids, I said. A freelancer. Someone who writes about financial games that hurt third parties. He nodded slowly. I know someone. Rachel. She's sharp, doesn't print garbage, and she protects sources. Set it up, I said. Vince watched me for a moment. You sure? I met his eyes. I've never been more sure of anything. When I got home, Noelle was in the kitchen, leaning on the counter like she was waiting for me. You're late, she said. I set my keys down. I had plans. She smiled, fake sweet. Since when do you have plans without me? Since I stopped auditioning for a role in my own marriage, I replied. Noelle's eyes narrowed. Who were you with? I shrugged. People who don't call me someone else. She scoffed. You're really holding on to that. I'm holding on to self-respect, I corrected. You should try it. It's stabilizing. Her voice turned sharp. You think you're better than me. I walked past her. I think I'm done being treated like I'm less than you. She followed me 2 steps, then stopped. You're going to come crawling back when you realize you can't do better. I turned and looked at her, calm. That's the thing, Noelle. I'm not trying to do better. I'm trying to do honest. She stared like she wanted to slap the words out of the air. But she didn't. She just smiled again, cold. Sleep on the couch, she said. I nodded. No. Her eyebrows lifted. No. I'll sleep where I want, I replied. And tomorrow, you'll pay your half of everything. On time. Like an adult. I walked upstairs and closed the bedroom door behind me. The next week, Noelle went full public with it. We had a small get-together at our place. Neighbors and a couple friends. Nothing fancy. Just food and normal talk. Noelle floated around the room like a host on a talk show. Smiling, touching arms, laughing too loud. She was performing perfect wife while making sure I looked like the boring guy in the corner. At one point, she stood near the kitchen island with our neighbor Denise. Late 30s, sharp tongue, loves gossip like it's oxygen. And Noelle said, loud enough for people to hear. Everett keeps spreadsheets for everything. I think he'd track the number of breaths I take if he could. Denise laughed. Oh my God. Noelle sipped her drink, eyes flicking toward me. It's cute, though? In a sad way. The room went quiet for half a second. Not dead quiet, but enough. People heard it. People registered it. I set my glass down and walked over. Noelle's smile widened like she expected me to explode. That was the trap. I didn't give her the show. I looked at Denise first. Hey, Denise. You still looking for that contractor recommendation? Denise blinked, thrown off. Yeah. I nodded. Call me tomorrow. I'll send you 2 names that actually show up on time. Then I turned to Noelle. Noelle, I said, calm and clear. Since we're doing public jokes about private respect, here's a public update. Our finances are split. Our plans are separate. And if you want to speak about me like I'm a joke, you can do it without living off the structure I built. Her smile froze. Denise's eyes widened. Someone across the room coughed into their hand like they didn't want to be involved. Noelle recovered fast, because she always did. Wow, she laughed. See? Controlling. I tilted my head. If you say the word enough times, maybe you'll believe it. Then I walked away and started clearing plates like nothing happened. That was my public boundary. No yelling. No begging. Just a line, set in daylight, with witnesses. Later that night, after everyone left, Noelle cornered me in the kitchen. What was that? She demanded. That was me removing your favorite toy. I replied, wiping the counter. Her eyes flashed. You embarrassed me. I looked at her, blank. You tried to embarrass me. I just stopped pretending. She stepped closer. You're trying to ruin me. I raised an eyebrow. Again with that phrase. It's almost like you know what you've been doing would look bad under light. Noelle's breathing changed. Shallow, quick. Not fear. Calculation. Then, second illusion came in hard, fast. She softened. Suddenly her shoulders dropped. Her voice got gentle. Everett, she said, I don't want us like this. I paused, just long enough to show I heard her. She reached for my hand. I miss you. I didn't pull away dramatically. I just didn't give her my hand. I'm right here, I replied. But I'm not accessible the way I used to be. Her eyes got glossy. Not tears, shine. Can we just reset? I'll do therapy. I'll do whatever. I'll even put everything back into the joint. I nodded once. No. Her face twitched. No. I'm not bargaining for respect, I said. You either have it or you don't. And right now, you're offering affection like a coupon. That line hit. It didn't hurt her feelings. It threatened her strategy. She dropped the softness instantly. You're cruel. I shrugged. You're confused. Cruel is lying to someone's face while building an exit behind their back. Noelle's eyes narrowed. You don't know anything. I smiled slightly. Keep telling yourself that. The kill turn came a week later, and it wasn't a confession. It was a mistake. Noelle left her tablet on the kitchen counter while she ran upstairs to grab something. The screen lit up with a message preview. Not words I needed to quote. Not a dramatic sentence. Just one name attached to a thread. Tom. And right beneath it, a calendar invite. A time. A place. During hours she told me she'd be with her sister. I stared at it for 5 seconds. Then I set the tablet face down, like it was just another piece of clutter. When Noelle came back down, I was sitting at the table with my laptop open. She paused. What are you doing? I looked up. I'm updating my life. Her eyes flicked to the tablet. Don't touch my stuff. I nodded. Too late for that boundary. You've been touching mine for a while. Noelle's voice went sharp. What are you talking about? I kept my tone level. I'm talking about the separate account. The transfers. The scheduling. The name slips. The public jokes. The private planning. She swallowed. You're making things up. I leaned back. Noelle, I'm not a man you can confuse with mood swings. If you want to deny, go ahead. But denial doesn't change consequences. She tried the old move again, turn it on me. So you went through my tablet. I didn't, I replied. Your life is leaking into the kitchen. That's not my fault. Her face tightened. You're insane. I nodded. And you're predictable. Noelle's tone turned icy. What do you want? Finally, real question. I want you to understand that I'm not staying in a home where I'm treated like a placeholder, I said. And I want my finances and my future away from your experiments. She laughed, bitter. So you're leaving? I shrugged. I'm already gone. You just didn't notice because you were busy rehearsing. Noelle stepped closer. You don't have the guts. I smiled. Watch me. That night, I didn't pack in a dramatic frenzy. I had already moved important documents and personal things into a locked storage unit earlier in the week. Initiative. Quiet. Adult. The next morning, I met Rachel, the freelancer Vince mentioned, at a small cafe. Neutral place. Daylight. No drama. Rachel was mid-30s, hair tied back, eyes sharp like she'd spent years listening to people lie. I slid a folder across the table. Statements, dates, screenshots, the entity name, and how it connected to a small group of people who weren't just our marriage business. Rachel flipped through it and looked up. This isn't just personal. No, I said. That's why I'm here. She tapped the paper lightly. You understand that if I pursue this, it will cause waves. I nodded. Waves are fine. I'm done living in still water that's hiding rot. Rachel held my gaze for a second, then closed the folder. Okay, I'll verify. If it checks out, it runs. Names protected where needed. Facts stay. That's all I want, I replied. Facts. A month later, the article came out. No names. No personal drama. Just a clean breakdown of a financial setup that used consulting and support services to move money around while presenting a different story at home and to others. If you knew the details, you knew. The same day it ran, Noelle's phone started ringing like it owed her money. She paced the living room, furious and frantic, trying to keep her voice down and failing. No, I didn't, she hissed. I don't know why. Then silence. She stared at her phone, then looked at me like I'd just turned off gravity. You did this, she said. I glanced at the article on my screen, then sipped my coffee. I read it. Interesting piece. Her voice rose. Everett, don't play stupid. I'm not playing anything, I replied. I stopped playing. Noelle's eyes got wild. You ruined everything. I tilted my head. You built everything on secrecy. That's not stable construction. She took a step toward me. Call them. Fix it. I shook my head once. No. She looked like she couldn't process that word anymore. Like it was a foreign language. Then she did what she always did when she lost control. She went around me. She called my mom. My phone rang an hour later. Mom's name on the screen. I answered. Hey, I said. Mom's voice was steady, but I could hear the irritation under it. Noelle called me. I paused. I guessed. She was crying, Mom said, saying you've changed, saying she's scared, saying she doesn't understand what's happening. I kept my voice calm. Do you want the short version or the full version? Full, Mom said. So I gave her facts, not feelings, names, dates, transfers, the Tom slips, the split budget boundary, the public disrespect, the separate planning. Mom was quiet for a long moment. Then she exhaled. Okay, I understand. That's it. I asked. That's it, Mom replied. I raised you to be kind, not to be used. Don't let her rewrite this into you being the problem. I won't, I said. Mom's voice softened. Are you okay? I answered honestly. I'm clear. She paused. Good. Stay clear. After that, Noelle didn't call my mom again. Because my mom didn't become her shield. The final part wasn't dramatic. It was surgical. I enrolled in evening courses I'd been putting off for years. Project management, practical stuff. New people, new routines, a space where nobody knew Noelle's version of me. After work, I didn't go straight home. I went to class. Noelle noticed on the third night. She was standing in the doorway when I came in, arms crossed like she was a guard. Where have you been? She demanded. I set my bag down. Busy. With what? She pressed. I looked at her calm. With building a life where I don't have to argue for basic respect. Her voice turned sharp. So you're punishing me by disappearing. I shrugged. I'm not disappearing. I'm relocating my energy. Noelle scoffed. You think you're so smart. I think I'm done being convenient, I replied. She stepped closer, trying the soft approach again. Too late. Everett, we can fix this. We can start over. I'll be different. I nodded once. No. Her eyes narrowed. You're enjoying this. I smiled slight. I'm enjoying peace. Noelle's face twisted. You're going to be alone. I picked up my bag again and headed upstairs. I was alone while you were sitting 3 feet away, Noelle. I'm just making it official. The next morning, I left early. Not to cool off. To execute. I had already lined up a small apartment. I'd already moved my essentials. I'd already redirected my mail. I'd already separated every bill that could be separated without turning life into chaos. When Noelle came down the stairs, she saw the empty closet space and the clean surfaces. Not a trashed room. Not a fight scene. Just absence. Her voice cracked. You're really doing this. I zipped my last bag. Yeah. She swallowed hard. After everything? You're just leaving. I looked at her, steady. I'm not just leaving. I'm ending the part where you treat me like I'm replaceable and still expect stability. Her eyes were glossy again. So that's it. I nodded. That's it. She tried one more time, voice turning sharp like a whip. You'll regret it. I stepped to the door, hand on the knob, and gave her the final line. Calm, clean, permanent. Noelle, you can rewrite your story all you want. You just won't be using my life as the paper. Then I walked out. Months later, my life looked better because it felt better. I kept the house situation clean and practical, moved into a place that fit me, not us. I upgraded my car to something reliable, nothing flashy, just mine. Work got easier because my head wasn't full of static. The courses led to a better role, more responsibility, more money, less chaos. And I met someone. Not a fantasy. A real woman who spoke plainly, showed up when she said she would, and didn't treat basic respect like a bargaining chip. We took things slow, because I wasn't desperate. I was selective. As for Noelle, I didn't track her. I didn't need updates. But mutual friends talk. The comfort and status she tried to secure through secrecy didn't hold. The people she leaned on got quiet when things got inconvenient. That's how it goes when your whole plan depends on nobody looking too closely. I didn't win by shouting. I won by leaving clean. And I slept better the first night. I didn't have to wonder who Tom was. Here's what I took from it, and what I'd tell any grown man who doesn't want to waste years negotiating his own dignity. First, early signals matter. The name slip wasn't nothing. It was a test of whether I'd accept a warped reality if she delivered it with a smile. The mistake would have been arguing about feelings and hoping she'd suddenly respect me because I explained myself better. Respect doesn't come from speeches. It comes from consequences. Second, boundaries only work when they change the environment. Splitting the budget wasn't a tantrum. It was a structural update. The mistake would have been continuing to fund a shared life while she quietly prepared her own exit. If someone wants personal space, give it to them in adult terms. Separate responsibilities, separate access, clear expectations. No threats. Just math. Third, don't chase someone who's already rehearsing life without you. My biggest leverage wasn't anger. It was initiative. I moved first, logistically, financially, socially. I took my life out of her hands before she could twist the narrative. The mistake would have been waiting for a perfect confession or trying to catch her in a way that turns you into a nervous detective. Facts show up fast when you stop feeding the performance. Comfort is cheap. Respect costs more, but it pays better. And when you finally choose yourself, you don't need to win. You just stop losing. That's the end of the story. And since you're here, you must have enjoyed it. Why not subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos? Thanks, and have a nice day.